Thank you so much for joining us here today. My name is Matt Fantone from Mix 94.1, and the Ohio Medical Marijuana Program has existed for years, but there are still a ton of questions and a ton of misinformation out there. When it comes down to it, experts are needed to kind of help clear these waters up, and that's why I'm sitting next to the gentleman that I am today. We are in the Citizen by Klutch Cannabis. The new location is in Canton, Ohio on Cherry, and we are sitting next to Rony. Rony, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it.
No, appreciate you being here. Thank you. And first and foremost, as a patient in the medical marijuana program, I just wanted to say it's been a big difference being able to shop at the Citizen. You know, this has definitely become my dispensary of choice, and you know, I appreciate you guys being in this area.
No, we love it. Canton's been so great to us since we started. Lauren and I, who's helping me run retail, is also here, and we decided to kind of create a different experience for the patient. A lot of the dispensaries that we've seen, not only in the area but around Ohio, have a very similar formula. So we wanted a very interactive experience, a laid-back vibe to it, and just have fun enjoying shopping for medical marijuana.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Citizen difference coming up here, but I just kind of want to start things at the beginning. And, you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of people out there who aren't 100% sure of what's going on with Ohio's medical marijuana program. How do they get involved? Once they do get involved, where does it all go from there? So from a patient perspective, can you kind of give me the rundown of, hey, I'm sitting on my couch thinking about this, up until, hey, I'm at the Citizen shopping now?
Yeah, so the program's been around for 3 years. The way to get a card is to pretty much just do an internet search on what are the medical marijuana card companies. Basically, what are the physicians that are able to write you a recommendation for medical marijuana?
Right.
And there are a number of qualifying conditions that allow you to get a medical marijuana card, the most prominent one being chronic pain. So if you have record of any type of pain-related issue, there are a number of others: PTSD, cancer, fibromyalgia. There's probably in total about 25 of them, but the main one is chronic pain. So if you're suffering from any pain-related issue, or like I said, any of these conditions, then you're eligible to get a card. What you would do after that is do a Google search for medical marijuana card companies. There's a bunch of them out there, and most of them now do appointments through telehealth. You would schedule an appointment. They all have their different process, and then right after that telehealth appointment, they'll ask you a few questions. You're eligible to get your card. They'll put you in the system, and then you're ready to go to a dispensary.
Yeah, and when you do decide to make this choice, you know, I think it's one that a lot of people might feel hesitant about, but I think we're starting to see a changing of the tides when it comes to public opinion on marijuana. And I thought it was really interesting. I saw a news story on senior citizens, the most likely to be experimenting with marijuana right now. So I just think it kind of goes to show that public opinion is changing. But let's talk about some of those people who, you know, haven't been a part of the program. They get involved, they get their card, they come to a dispensary, and they're like, oh my gosh, there are so many options. I don't even know what some of these things are. Can you just kind of give us if I'm, you know, walking in kind of blindly, what is this all about?
Well, going back to your original point, the biggest thing that surprised me from the start of the program to where it is right now is just the range of the demographics that we have.
Sure.
You know, 20% of our users are between the age of 20 and 30. 30 to 40 comprises another 20%. So, and even the age above 40 is roughly 30 to 40% of our patient base. So really we're serving all different types of patients and with multiple conditions, as well as a wide range of ages. And what I would say to that patient that has never used medical marijuana products or is just a little nervous about going to a dispensary is that is what's unique about us. We have a very different experience here, where you have employees that walk the floor, can guide you through the different products that we have. The first step is just figuring out what type of product do I have. Then once you know what type of product you have and how you want that to work, then you can start going into like the specific products within that category. So continuing to filter down to the product you want by starting broad is the kind of the flow that you go through when selecting a product. And then we also have, you know, private consultation areas too, if you're nervous about, you know, the interaction, or if you need an extended period of time to make a decision, we have a private area to provide that consult. But the main thing is just figuring out the basics. And then once you got the basics down, um, kind of getting more nuance with your product selection.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things when we talk about the citizen difference that's really been evident to me. I don't know how to put it any other way, but sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand through something. And when you get into a dispensary, and if you're not familiar with the terms and you're not familiar with the products, and you're talking about tinctures and terpenes and all of these different things, it can feel really overwhelming. So the fact that your employees are here to kind of
Mm-hmm.
help and here to kind of take someone through what might be a confusing process for them, that really does, I think, rock the customer into confidence, and they can feel good knowing what they're buying, and they feel confident, that this is the
Right.
this is the medication that I need. So we talk about customer service as one of the big differences when you come to the citizen. What else do you guys take pride in is like, hey, this is why you should shop at this dispensary?
Yeah, I think our staff, first and foremost, just how willing they are, like you said, to kind of walk you through the process. Getting an idea of, hey, you're not going to get the perfect product oftentimes the very first time
Right.
that you come.
Right.
It's a process. You learn from your experience. You try a product, you see how well it made you feel, the effects that you have felt, and then you kind of build off of that. And that's why it's so important to build a relationship with your dispensary, with the employees that work at the dispensary, because they know you, they know what you've tried, they know your preferences, and then they can build off that and make recommendations. So that's one aspect of our operation that we really focus on, is the staff and maintaining those customer relationships. I think another differentiator is just our vibe and our aesthetic. As I mentioned at the outset, it's just having more of a relaxed environment and making healthcare and shopping for medical marijuana products an enjoyable and fun experience. I think oftentimes when you get into the realm of medicine or just dispensaries in general, becomes very mechanical,
Sure.
and stale. And we wanted it to be a more open and welcoming experience, which is what we provide here. And then I think another differentiator is just being on the forefront of the technology, of not only retail, but just cannabis specific technology, and making things as easy as possible for the consumer with the use of technology.
Sure.
And I think when you do that, the menu and the options become a lot less overwhelming, because you're using technology to kind of guide you with your decision making process and narrowing down the products that you want. I think that's what we do better than other dispensaries, is understanding how marijuana works, how the decision making process works, and then using technology to kind of make that process easier.
Yeah, I think the more information the customer has,
Correct.
the more empowered they're going to be. And it's important to remember that this is medication, and
Right.
that customers are going to have questions, and they
Mhm.
are going to want to make sure that they're empowered with the correct answers. I think another thing that's just very evident when anybody walks into the Citizen is the true tangible difference here. This place is absolutely beautiful, and it's so cool that you guys decided to pay homage to Canton. Kind of what went into that decision making process, and how did you guys get such a beautiful building
Yeah,
here?
I think a lot of times, not only in cannabis retail, but retail in general, it's kind of that corporate mentality of shopping. We
Yeah.
wanted to stay away from that and pay homage to the locations that represent, the community that we're here to serve. And I think that's the biggest part of what we're trying to do, is build a community, whether it's a cannabis community, whether it's just an alternative wellness community. It's a place where you go and feel comfortable, and almost like your neighborhood bar, it
Right.
almost becomes like your neighborhood dispensary. And that was a very conscious decision. And it's funny that you use the word cool, because we've already been recognized for that. There was a publication that looks at dispensaries across the globe.
Right.
And when they saw that our vibe and aesthetic, they named us one of the coolest dispensaries in the world.
That's
So
awesome.
it's nice to kind of give back to Canton.
Right.
And we also have a shop in Lorraine, and build a dispensary that the community can be proud of,
Right.
and say, hey, yeah, this is something that we're known for in our city and in our community, because it's very different than any other dispensary, not only in Ohio, but around the world.
Yeah, no, it truly is a special place, and honestly, I'm glad I made the decision to start shopping here. One of the things that I think is on everyone's mind right now is there's some uncertainty when it comes
Mm.
to marijuana in the state of Ohio, and I know you cannot predict the future, but do you have any insight if legalization is a thing in November? What does that mean for the medical program, and kind of where does that put you guys?
Yeah, I think nothing really changes with us in terms of our mindset and how we serve the customer.
Sure.
Obviously, if it does go adult use, there'll be a lot more customers because the accessibility obviously increases for whether it's someone using it for medical purposes or for recreational purposes. So our mindset as how we run our operation doesn't really change much. First and foremost, we'll put the customer first. Like you said, there is a lot of uncertainty because we don't know what's going to happen in November, and then if the adult use initiative does pass, kind of how the state will structure the program
Right.
as it relates to medical and adult use. When you see this happen in other states, a lot of what happens with the medical program just depends on the details of how how the legislation is written
Of course.
and how things are structured. So we're going to find out in November, A, if adult use passes, and then B, if it does, what the state and regulators decide to do about having these two programs kind of coexist.
Yeah, like I said, a ton of questions when it comes to Ohio's medical marijuana program, and fingers crossed this helps some people gain a little bit of clarity today. We are at the Citizen by Klutch Cannabis right here in Canton, Ohio. It's an absolutely beautiful facility. Rony, thank you so much for having us today. We appreciate
Thank you. Absolutely.